Good afternoon. Welcome into D. Armstrong WLTZ Facebook Live. Boy, do we have a hot topic today, and I hope you're ready for it. A couple of things going on because I'm going to jump right in here. There's going to be a live newscast with the president. He's going to be talking about what's going on in Houston today. And I'll tell you what is happening in Texas has sparked a firestorm all across this country. It's a Talk to Me Tuesday, and this is the day when we say, hey, tell me what you feel. Let me know what's going on in your world. And one of the things going on is Joel Osteen. Right or wrong? So many people are homeless right now after the flood. He has been asked to open up his mega church, 16,000 plus seats in the church. Now that's seats. And Joel Osteen is saying, heck no, we won't go. He's saying, no, this is not the place for them to come. I'm not inviting that crowd in here because we can't facilitate them. These are 16,000 seats in a stadium, and it's not a home. So what do you think? He says no to the storm victims. I want to hear from you. It is a Talk to Me Tuesday. People going crazy, and people are appealing to his Christianity. They're saying it's not a Christian thing to say no. It's that all he is in it, that it's a sign that he's only in it for his money. I have had relatives talking to me by the phone, and they're saying, you know what, I'm not going to look at him the same way. But he says, I weighed this situation. I saw what happened in Katrina when they were allowed into the public facilities, and there was inadequate bathrooms, there was not medicine, there was no place for them to sleep. Had it been a private entity like his church instead of the government, he said they'd have sued the pants off of them, because once they got there, they were not safe. People were actually injured, people were assaulted, people were hurt, and he says we're not ready for this. We are not a rescue place. What do you think? Joel saying no to the victims. They can't come in. Here's a couple of the comments that are coming in now. Rhonda Brown, hey Dee. Hey Rhonda, good morning, good morning. What do you think? Joel Osteen saying no. There he is, and you know, he's the positive guy. I grew up watching Joel Osteen. Actually, his father and his mother, Dodie Osteen, and his father started the church. Joel was a little boy. He grew up in that church, actually did not want to take it over, he said, but as he became older, he felt a calling. And today he is everywhere, all over the internet, because he said, no, I will not let them in. So what do you think? Good morning, Annette Patterson, she's saying good morning. Rhonda Brown, Toya Tucker, Deborah Sykes, Carlos Grown Man Porter. If your relatives were in Florida right now, no place, not Florida, in Texas right now, no place to go, do you think he has a responsibility to let them in? And then can you see it from his point of view, what he's saying? I don't have any food. I don't have any water. I don't have anywhere for them to lie down. I don't have enough toilet space for them to use the bathroom. One of the things that happened in Louisiana is that there was feces in piles in corners because they didn't have enough bathrooms. Toya says, ha ha, she says, I need to see the footage with his statement. Go online and you can see Texas Pastor Joel Osteen's his explanation that he says it's not a rescue facility. It's not a shelter. These are chairs back to back, back to back, back to back, back to. There's no place for anybody to lie down. But then maybe the people say, you know what? I don't mind lying down on the floor in between the chairs. Let me make that decision. Just let me in. Who's right and who's wrong? Annette Patterson says it's not right. It's not right. Now, okay, I'm going to make a lot of people mad, okay? Rhonda Brown says, I think a lot of people need to calm down. Me too. As a property owner, this is the first thing I would think. My heart goes out to a lot of people, and I've had so many people to take advantage of me. They're in a position where they need some help, and I rescue them, allow them in, and I end up with all the bills and all of the liability, of the potential to being sued, the potential to getting into trouble because of their actions. And I think he's saying, I can't subject these people who have helped me build this thing, and now we're going to risk being sued. Because if mama left her blood pressure medicine and Joel doesn't go get it, you know, then mama's going to say, you invited me here. Now you're supposed to take care of me. Go get my blood pressure medicine. It opens up a lot of doors. It's not just open the door and let them in. Now you, in a sense, become responsible for them. Okay, that's one way to look at it. And that is a real way to look at it. But which is the greater good? That he take on that responsibility anyway? Tony Benzino says, why is everyone surprised? It's even in the Bible, many will preach, Lord, Lord, but yet they are false prophets. He's a prophet, P-R-O-F-I-T. Toya Tucker says, I'm not going to call him a false prophet, but to each their own. Well, he teaches a good word, and I got to tell you the goodness, honest truth. I have several of his books because his books have encouraged me, and his teachings come from the Bible, and I'm one of those fundamentalist Bible believers. So love me or hate me, I mean that's just who I am. And as long as he sticks to what I believe I'm reading in the Bible, I'm fine with that. And as far as I know, he does. Now, everybody doesn't teach the same thing. He teaches more along encouragement. And I think that's why people are so shocked. They thought that someone like Joel Osteen, who's always talking about encouraging people, that he should open his doors. I think my producer's talking to me. Would you say that again? Here's what happened when they said, hey, y'all, take your little booties down to the stadium because we're going to take care of you in the stadium. There was so much rioting and fighting and looting that they had to have guards to protect people down there. There were not enough bathrooms. Have you ever been to the bathroom at the Braves games? Are there enough bathrooms? Heck no. You're standing in line for an hour just to go TT. So now you have all these people who have to use the bathroom at the same time. What are they going to do if they can't hold it? And they're just sitting. There's nowhere to lie down. This is Hurricane Katrina. So I'm just saying, don't be so hard on him. But at the same time, I don't know what I would do. I really don't, because my heart goes out. My heart goes out. I would probably take in a certain number of them and say, I know I can handle this many people. I'd have to call my people, say, look, I need volunteers, because someone has to help with this. You can't just open the door and say, come on in. Now, person A wants the same spot where person B is. Now there's a fight. Somebody has to say, this is your spot, your spot, your spot, your spot. You use the bathroom at 2, you use the bathroom at 6, you use the bathroom at 8. This stuff has to be coordinated. Wow. Oh, boy. They are sending help for the area. Treasurer Fulana O'Neill says, I think if they have his staff watching, then it shouldn't be a problem. That's a big part of it. You have to have either practice this, it's like our emergency responders, you know why that siren goes off every Saturday? That's a reminder. That's an exercise. This is what I would do if there were an emergency. Do you think that church staff has an emergency plan for flood victims? Nicole, I'm going to ask Nicole, my producer. You can't hear her, but I can. Do they have an emergency plan for flood victims? No, they have 16,000 seats inside a building, and it sounds like I'm making his case. To tell you the truth, I'm really in the middle of it, because if that were my mama, I would say somebody better let her in, and we'll talk later, But at the same time, as a property owner, I understand letting people on your property opens you up to being responsible for them. Now you're taking on all their issues. You are now responsible. And he's saying, I don't have I'm making his case. Toya Tucker says, you need more than staff. This is it. Toya, girl, I wish I could see your face in your Facebook picture. Toya Tucker says, I would let God direct me on this. It definitely has to be coordinated. You can't just open up the doors. Now, would you open up the door? There's flooding going on in a neighborhood 2 streets over from you, and your house is sitting on a hill. You just open up the door and say, hey, everybody come on in here. It's going to be chaos, isn't it? Even with just those 15, 20 people, there's going to be chaos. So what do you think is going to happen at that mega church? What is the responsibilities of mega churches? Does the size mean that they take on bigger responsibilities? Carlos Grown Man Porter says, he's trending today. We shouldn't pass judgment, but this is the season for fake people to be exposed. Truth be told, he's not the only one. Keep watching as this unfolds. So it sounds like Carlos kind of sees his point, but not really. Carlos, is that right? It sounds like you're saying that he could do more, and that he's just one of the first of a few that are going to be revealed. And then here's another thing. And I'm opening up the door. I hope Gwinnetta Wright is watching. I just saw a post from Gwinnetta Wright who said, you know what? Yes, I take in a lot of money, she said. But let me tell you something. I pay out a lot of money, too. It doesn't mean it's in my pocket, you know. So Joel Osteen would say, yeah, we got a mega church, but do you know how much I pay in taxes? Do you know what this electricity bill is? Do you know what it costs to run this place? Just because we take in a lot of money doesn't mean there's all this money that's going to handle 10,000 people. There's a good chance the money, honestly, truly, is not there. But Tony says, look, he's going to get a tax write-off. He's a millionaire. Even if he can't open, I'm sure he can take. That's it. That's what I'm thinking, Tony. And I'll go with you with that. That he is probably able to take at least a couple of people and organize that as quickly as he can, get the leaders of the church and say, hey, look, I need 50 of you guys right now, and we're going to take in 400, 500 people. I know we can handle them. I know that we can protect them, and that's a big thing. There are kids there. Somebody has to look. Check this out: trash everywhere, boo-boo everywhere, pee-pee, no food. Remember, there was no water. And then people are like, why do you have these armed military people here? These are just poor people who couldn't get out of town. And they're saying because these poor people are fighting each other. These poor people are fighting to get to help. And so we have to keep the peace. So how would Joel Osteen keep the peace? So this has to be coordinated. Rhonda Brown German says, church folks so quick to judge and so good at being a lawyer. I'm telling you, I know some front porch drink with a can of beer lawyers, a bunch of them. To tell you what you need to do in a minute. Deborah Sykes said, did you see my comment? Let me back up to Deborah. Thank you for being with us, Deborah. My comment above says that he was social media shamed into opening his church doors. Wow. Now she's out in California. What do you think about him? You have probably a little different insight because of how things are of him, Deborah. Let me know. And thank you so much for watching. Thank you, Eric Willis. He has joined us this afternoon. Tanya Freeney. April Ross, thank you for joining us. April, what do you think? One of my good friends, she's always out. She does red carpet events, and she's at all of the major events around town. What do you think? Joel Osteen being shamed into opening the doors of his church. And things may be changing and as we're talking in the last 15 or 20 minutes. So go online. I can't do that because I'm live right now, but go online. If he's changed his mind at all in the last 20 minutes, let me know because I need to know that too. Sharon Smith says, okay, behind the scenes on Joel Osteen at Lakewood Church. Good afternoon, Timothy Childry. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. He's an awesome man of God. Suppose you're a pastor at a mega church in Columbus and there's huge flooding and there's 15,000 people who are homeless and you have a 16,000 seat facility. Do you open your doors to those people who cannot go back home because they've been flooded? Do you open your church? Joel Osteen, I think he's darned if he does and darned if he doesn't today. But I think he does have a responsibility to do something, even if it's to borrow some money, take some money or something, have someone taken somewhere if they can't be where you are. Where's that emergency fund? We take up that money for the sick and infirmed, you know, and we have that infirmity fund. There should be some money somewhere to do something. So let's see what he does. Maybe the answer is not to put them in the church, where he can't watch them, where they can't use the bathroom, where there are no stoves for food, and nobody can bring food in really unless the Red Cross gets to them. So maybe that's not the answer. Maybe the answer is that his church mobilizes people to help those people to get somewhere and to help pay for hotel rooms, pay for places for them to go. What do you think about that? Eddie Smith says, well, my opinion is just what you said. Do something, Joel. Do something, Joel. Now, I can agree with him saying, you know what, we're a church, and you see all this square footage. That is an auditorium that's filled with chairs. They would have to sit. That's all they can do is sit. You know, there's no room for them to lay down, to go to sleep. The chairs don't even lay down side by side. There are, you know, there are armrests in between them. So all they can do is sit up, and that may not be the answer. Then how do you orderly have people go to the bathroom? How do you orderly have people go get water? How do you orderly tell people where they're going to sleep? So that may not be the answer. Rhonda Brown said he could have already donated, D, and that's true. That's true. He could have already made a sizable donation that ain't nobody been made aware of because he didn't do it for publicity. So the whole story has not necessarily been told. Juliet Lattimore says everyone should have the same responsibility as a human being, not just as a minister, pastor, or church. Ooh wee. You know what that sounds like? Sounds like she's saying, what are you doing? Did anybody watching send in $10 trying to tell Joel Osteen what to do? Did you send any money? Did you click the button and say 5 coming out of my pocket or 10 coming out of my pocket? But we want to tell Joel Osteen what he needs to do. Okay, all right. You know, I'm just playing devil's advocate. Meg Ann says, couldn't the commercial airlines accommodate these people some kind of way? Very interesting question. We were talking about that in the office, and we were trying to figure out the logistics of getting them to the airport and then on the planes. And then if the planes are already booked for regular commercial flights, then what do? This is a problem. If we're going to have people living in flood-prone areas, we have to have better plans for how we're going to get them out. Carlos Grown Porter says, all the things happening written in the Bible, so what's the big deal? We as a body of Christ need to stop giving man the praise and stop name dropping Joel Osteen and seek God's help. Oh, wow. Toya says, it would be nice if someone had contact with someone at Lakewood and get the facts. Don't spread the negativity. And I agree with that too. Part of this is we're going to hear about this, and this is biblical too. The truth is, in most situations, we only know in part. We just talk. And this is a Talk to Me Tuesday. We do have our opinions. We talk. We don't know if he's already given money. We don't know if he's trying to come up with a plan. But what we're saying is that in the media, he is being crucified by a lot of people. So do you think that the media is even fair? Until we find out exactly what's happened, should we not say anything at all? And I think Annette is right. Paying for hotels is great. We can still have an opinion about some things. We don't know what he's done or hasn't done, but we can have some suggestions. And my suggestion would be to do something, and hopefully he is doing something. My suggestion would be to, if you're going to live in that area, now that we know it's a possibility this could happen again this time next year when the season comes around, to have a plan A and a plan B. So maybe he was taken in his, as we say, unawares in the newsroom, taken in his unawares, and he's like, oh my goodness, we need to have a survival plan because this could happen and people will look at this church as a safe haven. So what can we do? Can we have adequate food storage? Can we have bathrooms, you know, porta potties that we can store? What can we do? So maybe it's just a wake-up call for him. I am certainly not angry with Joel Osteen because I'm like, is it Toya? We don't know the whole story. We know what we know now, that the people aren't in there. So that means that he didn't let them in there. But why and what his plan is, we don't know. Carlos, okay, all right. Tony Benzio, can't all airports have been closed? It was a flood. Okay, exactly. Okay. All right, there's a post, Treasure Falana O'Neill. There's a post on her page. If you go to her Facebook page, Treasure Falana O'Neill, Falana O'Neill. Shows it's room in the church, but the doors are locked. Ooh, okay. Toya says, I did donate $50. Can someone do that? We are the church. And that's it. If everybody watching now and people that they're related to and work with sends $10, can you imagine how much help can go to them? But somehow we think when we're like the lady with the widow with the mite, since we talking church, okay? All she had was this less than a penny amount of money. And we think, I don't have much money. Let the big guys take care of it. But God tells us we're still responsible. We're still responsible with whatever we have in our hands. So even if you have $5 or $10, we're just as responsible as someone who has $50,000 or $100,000 to help our fellow man. Now, I do believe that. Annette Patterson says we need to pray for him as well as the people who are involved. Wow. Deborah Sykes says he initially stated that the church was flooded. Ooh, when in fact it wasn't. So I've got to check that out. I hadn't heard that, Deborah, but Deborah's with us all the time. She's never steered me wrong. And you do know that sometimes you have to dig for the facts. So that's out there somewhere. I'm going to look for that, that the church was flooded when it wasn't. And that's where the controversy comes from. God bless Texas, says Angela Chambers. Wow. KJ Jones, hi Dee, giving love from all in Ohio. Rhonda, is someone actually putting the life in danger to go down to the church to see if it's flooded? Pictures can be photoshopped. Wow. Annette, I just don't want to judge things that I don't know or judge things that I think I know. Just seeking God and praying. And you know what? I'm going to just be real with you guys. At my age, I'll be 60 really soon. And one of the things that have impressed me at this point in my life is to have this mindset that I come not to judge you, but to love you. Now, it doesn't mean that I don't have opinions. It doesn't mean that I don't try to size up a situation and try to have some wisdom. But that's so true, that we should come not to judge, but to love. Not to judge, but to love. And all of this is going to shake out. This is kind of stirring you up. You guys, do your searching. We live in a world now where there's information everywhere, and go to the sites that you know are reliable, and we'll see what happens. It's going to shake out in the end. Remember Mayor Nagin down in New Orleans? Well, he was on the radio for like 36 hours straight saying George Bush was stealing money and the money couldn't make it down to New Orleans. Then we find out 5 or 6 years later, Nagin stole all the money, you know. That's those documentaries are everywhere. He took the money. You know? So sometimes things look a certain way at first, and they end up not being that way at all. So we do have to have love. But I will say this without knowing any facts whatsoever. I would say this: do something, Joel. And I would also say have a plan B, because it's going to happen again. I want to thank you guys for being with me. Every Tuesday we do a Talk to Me Tuesday, and this is a time to express yourself. And you don't have to agree with me. You don't have to agree with me. I don't care if you agree with me or not. Express yourself, okay? Just say what you got to say. Before we go, Helen Jenkins, can we trust the donations? That's another thing. Anybody watch American Greed on TV? People send in these donations and they never get where they're supposed to be, or 10% of them get there, and that always worries me. So make sure you know who you're sending your money to. Helen says, Toya says, I'm donating to someone I know. Donate to someone you know. Susie Taylor Miller Robinson, love your backdrop, Dee. Hi, Susie, how are you doing? Timothy Childry, I love how everyone starts every sentence with, I don't want to judge. And having an opinion is not judging. And before we go, I've come to the conclusion after just reading in my level of studying, and I'm not some PhD in the Bible, but judging does not mean that you don't look at a situation and make a declaration of whether you feel it's right or wrong. Judging means I don't know that person's heart. You can't judge somebody's heart. You can see what they're doing, but in the inside, they may be crying out saying, I don't want to be this way. I don't want to do this. That's what you can't see, and that's what you can't judge. You can't judge the intent of a man always or what's in their heart, but you can doggone sure judge what they just did and say it's right or wrong. Okay? Now, that's just my opinion. Okay? Thank you so much for being with us. Got a great rest of the week giving away those Callaway Gardens tickets. Want you to go see the Great Balloon Fest. It's September 1st through the 3rd. The tickets have come in this round of giveaways. I will have the tickets in my hand, so I'm giving them away on Thursday so that you can come and get them Thursday and Friday because we're going to be closed Saturday. So first round of tickets are going to be, I'll announce the first round Wednesday and then give the rest of them away on Thursday. Thank you so much for that. Timothy Childry, you win the key fob. Okay? So you need to pick that up, or I'll tell you what, I think I'll see your wife later on today. And I'm like, you know what? Timothy was only a handful of people who wanted the last one. I gave so many of these away. By the time it got to the last batch, wasn't that many names in it, and Timothy won. Thank you so much for being with us. Toya says, hook me up with those Callaway Garden tickets. You're in, baby. And Toya, thank you so much. She is a faithful friend, and I like to reward when I can. All right, we'll see you tomorrow, same bat time, same bat station.